It was all a dream. I have a dream. It was all a dream.
Welcome back to Powered by Ancestry. I am your guide, Kwesi Kunadu. On this episode, we'll focus on dreams and ancestry, one of my favorite topics. Dreams, they are very important, but they're also misunderstood. Some people, psychiatrists and psychologists, consider dreams to be simply figments of our imagination, while others, myself included, consider dreams to be portals, essentially time machines that allow us to travel to times and places and to people that we will never meet in our lifetime or in the flesh. Dreams have the ability to not only transport, but to provide very important information and data points that we can use in our daily lives, and in this case, to the work of ancestry. And so, the dream that I shared in the intro episode to Powered by Ancestry, I'll share again, but a little more details. It's around the year 2000, and I've reached the ceiling, or essentially the end of what the documents can provide from the archives that I visited in Jamaica and other places. I also didn't have more to go with the oral history I collected from my family in Jamaica and elsewhere. At that point, I was at my great-great-grandmother and perhaps her mother, but no further. And so I was somewhere in the 19th century. And May of 2000, I had this dream. And in this dream, I'm walking on this paved path. And on this paved path, almost clear brick paved path, I'm going around this large rock to my left. And so as I'm making my way around this large rock, all of a sudden, a figure jumps out from behind the rock right in front of me on this path. And the figure is dressed in red. And the figure says to me, if you want to know more about your great-great-grandmother, you have to go to Ghana. Then disappeared. And shortly thereafter, I woke up. I'll never forget that dream. It's impossible to forget that dream. That dream really, on the one hand, consolidated, sort of put together into perspective all the work I had done on what I then call my family history project. But it also gave me the motivation. It sort of quieted my frustration and anxiety about not knowing more, and it gave me the path forward. Now, I didn't know what to expect in that path or that journey, and that's really what a journey is. A journey is something that you enter and you don't know how it's going to change you or how you will change it. That led me to book a plane ticket that December to travel to Ghana, West Africa. So there are different categories of dreams. One category of dreams are dreams that are superfluous. They're frivolous, meaning they don't really have any important data, but they're based on what you ate before going to bed or that day. They're based on what you saw, either on Netflix or some other form of entertainment. And they're based on perhaps unsettled relational things that happen between you and your spouse and your partner or your children. Frivolous in the sense that they do not provide you with the kind of details or data that will be important in terms of ancestry. Another category of dreams are dreams that do have a little bit more significance and weight, and they are ones that provide you with details. You will see individuals for whom you have not met before. And sometimes there'll be individuals in your dream that you know in quote-unquote real life, but they don't act or behave in the way they do in quote-unquote real life. And so those dreams can have a number of ways to interpret them, and we'll come to interpretation very shortly. Then you have those dreams, which are my favorite, the ones you can't forget, even if you try to. They stay with you for 1, 2, 3 days, and they're as clear as ever. If you've had any of those dreams, record those dreams. In fact, record all your dreams, but particularly those, because those are the ones that have a very important message. The reason you cannot, even if you try, to forget them is because they are supposed to hold a particular value for you. Now, since I can't know what your particular dreams are, especially the ones in this third category, I can't comment on the particularities, but I can tell you if you have those dreams which A, you cannot forget, meaning they stay crystal clear in your mind. B, the clarity and quality of them are unmistakable. And C, there are dialogues and therefore information sharing. There are symbols in those dreams for which you should take heed. Again, those are my favorite because those are the ones that I think that are packed with much more important and relevant details when it comes to ancestry. Now, all those categories, from the relatively frivolous to the moderately insightful to the crystal clear ones that should not be forgotten and can be forgotten, all of them are important, but they have different importance. So let's focus on the third category of dreams, the ones that are so clear, and maybe the second category as well. According to the view held by my people, my folks, dreams, they have the ability to, again, transport you. When we go to sleep, we enter that REM state. Our body is vulnerable to all kinds of things. And during that period of vulnerability is when our spirit, that is our spiritual personality, the spirit of who we are as that particular person, our spirit travels. Where does it go? Everywhere. It travels in time. It travels across place. It travels even across universes. How do you know this? Or how do I know this? Well, for instance, I've had dreams where I've entered the house, a very big house, and I've seen people who have passed away in my family, and we're having a discussion. And at that discussion, everything is all good. They tell me that you can't stay here. And so I know what they mean by that, because I'm in the house of the ancestors. I'm in the abode of the ancestors. And our worlds have different rules. There, time doesn't exist as it exists here. Space doesn't operate on the same rules of physics as they operate here. And because I'm a visitor, meaning the spirit of me is a visitor to their world and to their abode, and because the rules are quite different and they have different effect on us, they told me to leave, because if I don't leave, then I'll stay there prematurely. And so them telling me to leave is really a kind of polite way to say that, this is not your world. You've gotten what you needed for this moment. Now it's time for you to go back. And when I wake up, I record my dreams immediately. And I suggest you do the same. You want to close the gap or distance between the actual experience of the dream and the recording of the dream. The reason for that is quite simple. The longer you wait, the details become more fuzzier, more hazier, and less clear. They're vague. And sometimes you may have to wake up in the middle or latter part of the night to do so. And I do recommend it, especially for those categories of dream that are very clear, that are very important. And even the second category that are moderately insightful, but it's not really clear if there's some frivolous aspects to it. Or if one of those dreams where you're falling off of a cliff or a building and you wake up before you, hit the ground. Recording the dreams allow you to have a logbook or a journal of your dreams. I've been keeping my dream book since 1998. And when you look back at those dreams, what you do, you see, or you can see, patterns. Patterns in what you see in those dreams over a period of time. And so what you may look for instance, are, do I see recurring characters? For me, for years, I used to see this old man and old woman that always appeared in my dream. And I knew they were ancestors, people that I did not know or have met before, because they would always guide me. They would always counsel me. In fact, they would scold me. In one dream, I'm in a house and in a room in a house, and the old man, as I called him, who's with the old woman, the old man says to me, stop asking questions you know the answers to. It may seem to be a scolding, and it was, but it's also pointing to the relationship between my spirit and theirs, that there's a cohesive bond there, and that cohesive bond allows for a clearer communication between the world of ancestors and the world of you or I. The dreams that we have are really an important archive. I've had dreams where I visited the place of the ancestors, not simply their abode. I've walked their streets, and the streets are very dimly lit in this particular dream that I have in my mind right now. And as I'm walking, the houses are empty. And I'm looking for this particular person, who's an ancestor. I don't get to his house, but eventually I wake up. But I've had many dreams where I've gone to the abode of the ancestors and simply just walked around. Or in other cases, I had a dream with an ancestor who I went to his house and he came outside and we got into a minivan. And as I got into the minivan, he backed out and says, I'm going to take a bike, while I got in the minivan. And all these dreams where I visited, the abode of the land of the ancestors are very insightful clues. Let's go back to the scolding, where I was told, do not ask questions for which I already know the answers. That was very instructive because I know that sometimes I want to be so right and so certain that I'll ask the same question I know the answer to again just to be affirmed and receive some confirmation. And so it is reminding me that I need not seek that confirmation because what I know is what I know, and to simply be confident about what I know. And so for me, that was very powerful and very important. But it also said to me that, my ancestors and I have lines of communication to where whatever I need, I can tap them, and they're going to be honest with me. The fact that I know they can be open and honest with me, it reassures me. It gives me the confidence I need to do the kinds of work that I do. So that dream was very instructive. The other dreams, and more like it, they lead to what I spoke to you all a moment ago about interpretation. How do you make sense of your dream? There's no wrong or right way to do that. However, I suggest you consult with someone like myself who has experience in dream interpretation, because dreams, they vary so much, and the symbolism and the words and the gestures and the colors are all important clues. I'll give you some insights as to how to make sense of it, with the assurance that you should be in contact with someone like myself who has experience as a healer or a spiritualist who can help guide you through some of the more thick descriptions that you find and some of the more hazy and fuzzy symbolism in your dreams. But here are some clues. Record colors. What were the people you saw in the dream wearing? Colors matter. Colors are not simply about energies that they radiate, but they're also about temperament. They're also about mood, and they're also about meaning. And so record the colors of clothing, of the building, of the place, of the plants, whatever else you see in the environment of the dream, the setting of the dream, record the colors. Second, record the words. Whatever dialogue you can put together, dialogue is very important, deeply important, because what is said in that dialogue offers multiple layers of clues and multiple layers of instructions, meaning dreams can be instructive. I remember I had a dream many, many years ago when I was a vegan. And in the dream, I was told I am deficient in certain minerals and vitamins. The dream instructed me that I needed to eat certain kinds of fish that had particular minerals, vitamins, and antioxidants. And from that point on, I started to eat certain kinds of fish. And so that was instructive. And that was very direct and very clear, because there was certain deficiency that I didn't recognize. Even my doctor at my annual physical didn't recognize that I had in me. But guess what? My ancestors were looking out for me. Because of the relationship we've developed over the years and the lines of honest communication, I can move with their instruction, their advice, and their counsel with confidence. And I think you can do the same, whether it comes to developing or sustaining the relationship you have with your ancestry. These things are all possible. But what is not possible is doing that without cultivating and using the tool of dreams. Dreams are a most fundamental tool within the ancestral toolkit. I am Kwesi Kunadu, your guide at Powered by Ancestry. It's great having you again, and I hope to see you in another episode.